Good morning. I'm Julio Saenz, along with Mauricio Riveros. Today we'll meet Matt Hurlbutt, President and CEO of the Greater Rochester Enterprise, and hear about the large business investments still coming to the region despite the pandemic.
We hope you will be inspired.
Celebrating leaders in Rochester's unique and vibrant business community. We'll meet entrepreneurs whose passion and perseverance have helped push through life's challenges. Join us as we share their stories and journeys to success. It's time to be inspired.
Matt, thank you very much to be Inspired, a show that we developed to interview interesting people, business owners, entrepreneurs, and really to inspire our community here in Rochester, people who are taking risks and trying to create businesses. And I'm very excited today to have you, Matt, in our show. So let's start learning who is Matt.
Well, I'm the president and CEO of Greater Rochester Enterprise, a not-for-profit organization supported by the business community and other community leaders to support business growth in the region. So we help local companies connect to resources so that they can grow. And we also market the region to attract new investment. Some of what you've seen already announced with past projects like Barilla, as well as HP Hood's investment in the region, Live Tiles, Security Risk Advisors, and so many more. And it's all about helping companies grow in the region.
That is wonderful, Matt. And so tell us a little bit about you specifically. Before you came to GRE, tell us what's the story of Matt?
Well, it started on a snowy day in December a long time ago. I grew up in Hilton, which is just outside of Rochester. My father owned his own business, and I grew up helping him many days. He was one of the original milkmen. So we used to deliver milk door to door, house to house, as well as to local businesses in the Hilton area, including Greece, Hamlin, Spencerport. So I grew up working for an entrepreneur, and I think that's why I am where I am today. He kind of taught me, he and my mom, who did the books, kind of taught us all, myself and my brothers, how to work hard and also serve the community, because he was really a dedicated public servant as well. So a great man who really was a great model for us.
Matt, you just mentioned a couple of wonderful qualities that your father had. What are some of the other qualities that you in your experience have been the determinants as to whether someone will be a successful entrepreneur?
Well, I think it goes into some of what he taught us, working all kinds of hours. And when the phone rings, you answer it. And when you say you're going to do something, you do it. And there were many nights I missed a few baseball practices. And we also did a lot to support organizations in the community. And I think it's that lesson about being there, being accountable, and being able to step into a situation and offer help, and answering that call when it comes in. So that's something my dad did very well. My mom did it too, and certainly my brothers and I have tried to follow their example.
That is wonderful, Matt, and clearly is something that is coming generation after generation, and now is impacting with the opportunity that you have to lead such an important organization in our country, in our city. And so let's talk about GRE, and let's talk about the mission and how the mission is being accomplished so far. So tell us how the progress, what's the progress in GRE?
Yeah, well, we have, GRE was created, I think, in 2003. And it was really a discussion that some individuals saw announcements being made by companies that were investing in other cities, perhaps in other states. And they really thought some of those companies should be locating here. And when they did an analysis, they found that there was a need for some regional collaborative marketing and connectivity to really support and market the region. So that was a part of our job, in addition to understanding what existing companies are already doing and how to support their growth here. So it really started back then, and technology has led us a long way. We have much better systems, research capabilities, data, and it's as much as it's relationship-based, we have a great access to information and data to help us get our job done. But it does, interestingly enough, even in these days of Twitter and Instagram and so many other tools, it does go back to relationships. The fact that we've had people who have visited the region with us, even back in 2013 or prior, who we're dealing with now with some outstanding opportunities for this region to advance new technologies, to grow companies here, to locate firms here. It really does go back to that person-to-person interaction and working as a trusted advisor to help the company solve problems, connect to resources, and some of which we have or some of which others have. So it's that connectivity in the community and that ability to answer the phone to help people solve problems that really helps us do our job.
Fantastic, man. Now, what would you say? Now, you don't have to convince Mauricio and I are huge fans of Rochester, so you don't have to convince us. But if there's a business owner watching the show or someone who's thinking of starting a business and deciding whether to start it here or somewhere else, what would you say to them? What are some of the best things that that we have to offer an entrepreneur here?
Well, first of all, Rochester was built on entrepreneurs, going back to George Eastman. The fact that Frederick Douglass, Susan B. Anthony are also here, we've got that rule-breaking spirit. It's something we're very proud of. We continue to lead the world in innovation, whether it's optics, photonics, and imaging, and that ability where we are big enough to matter, but also small enough to connect. And the ability to pick up the phone and have one phone call to solve a problem is really what helps us get our job done. And we've got a number of individuals who have worked for very large companies who have come to this region from elsewhere and who have never left. And it's interesting to note that 97% of employees in this town are at firms of 100 or less who are doing some really innovative things, whether they've got laser-based technology or lenses on the Mars rovers, or whether they help fix the Hubble telescope. We've got so many companies that have innovated every day and working on new technologies. And it's really about that idea of telling the story and something we encourage them to do. It helps us, it helps them. But we also we've got the facts that you can earn $1 million a year more in profits for an operation of 50 people in Rochester than you can in Boston, New York City, Northern Virginia, San Francisco, Seattle, and so many other locales. So it is that outstanding quality of life. We've got an abundance of fresh water, outstanding colleges and universities, but it is really the outstanding people like yourselves that make this community what it is. It's awesome. It's a great place to connect, work, raise a family, and build a very entrepreneurial, successful career.
Well, it's really clear that we are in a strategic position. We have amazing universities. The commute is unbelievable in this place. And I know GRE has been fundamental to basically promote the investment, a lot of investment. And I saw some of the reports and are really impressive. So maybe you can highlight some of these impacts. Maybe in 2020, I hear that it's around $554 million in terms of new capital and investments. So that's really powerful. And it's a lot of money. So tell us a little bit about those initiatives that have been channeled through you guys.
Sure. And that 2020, it's interesting, even during the world of COVID, when so much of the world shut down, I think Rochester really raised its profile. We had orthoclinical diagnostics and that are growing here. Cloud Checker advanced has plans to add about 400 people here. Arcadis Lifecycle made a major expansion. They're building a new facility at Eastman Business Park, one of the first in a long time. A large investment, $175 million investment, 100 new jobs. Pro Ampac has an $8 million innovation facility that's being built with 30 new jobs. Gorbel has already added to their headquarters and is expanding. Greenlight Networks, that high quality fiber that we all need to do our jobs, whether we're on site or remote, is their headquarters is expanding in the region. Carestream is advancing new technologies. Some of our largest projects were also in the clean energy space, with Plug Power announcing a new fuel cell research and development manufacturing center, as well as growing what was announced in 2021, building a hydrogen fuel cell campus in Genesee County, leveraging hydropower to grow that hydrogen, to light up some of those fuel cells, if you will. So all told, we had a very successful year in what many thought should have been a down year.
If you're a smaller business here in the area, when can you join, and what are some of the benefits if you're a smaller business of joining the GRE?
Well, that's the best part. So you don't have to join to work with GRE. We are an investor-led organization. We serve the business community. So we also have a program called Economic Gardening, where we provide strategic research that most large companies have access to that small companies don't. So we're looking for those privately held firms that are selling products and services outside the region, but may need help with search engine optimization, identifying sales leads, mapping clients or potential competitors. They can contact us, and we'd like to help support their growth by providing strategic research to help leverage and advance their marketing, sales, and revenue to grow and also grow those revenues here. So those are firms that we're very interested in serving. They're typically between $1 to $50 million in revenue, 10 to 99 employees. We have worked with companies that are smaller, and we also working on building that entrepreneurial ecosystem. So helping those companies connect to other resources in the community, whether they're SBA loans or the Small Business Development Center, they need help with a business plan, or perhaps commercializing that product if they can work with an organization like NextCore or the Center for Urban Entrepreneurship at RIT. And there's so many assets here that entrepreneurs have a hard time connecting to. And we're also here to help them connect and try to make it as easy as possible for them to leverage all of the good work that so many organizations do in this community.
Well, thank you so much, Matt. We'll be back with more after these messages.
But, and that is wonderful. The capacity to create synergies between large, medium, and small businesses is fundamental, because in the end, it's all integrated. Large business needs a small business needs large business, is all connected. And I think GRE has able to create those connections and those links. Now, what is your perspective? We passed through this COVID, and hopefully we are not done yet. We cannot celebrate too much, but I think we are getting good steps towards to a better momentum. What's your perspective of Rochester, let's say in 5 years? What's the view? How do you see? No one has a crystal ball, but what do you see? What's the future? How you see the future of Rochester?
Well, I think we've got a great future. And it does go back to our tagline, which is we've got smart people. Rochester is a place where smart people live and smart businesses grow. And when you look at the problems the problems that create an opportunity for the companies in this region. So our strengths are in food and beverage. We have an unlimited supply of fresh water. We kind of joke about it. So we get a dusting of snow once in a while. It melts. It gives us that fresh water. We've got a great quality of life and great colleges, universities, and also that baseline of connectivity and entrepreneurship. So that synergy with optics, photonics, and imaging, with data science, with technology, medical device. We've seen a lot of companies step up, Carestream being one, Ortho Clinical, Thermo Fisher Scientific, making investments in the region now. And they're well positioned to continue that, to expand on the global opportunity that's created by those synergies. We've got research universities. We're also in close proximity to Buffalo, Syracuse, Cornell University, and many companies leverage that, even as simple as growing beets in the region. So Love Beets is a company that we helped to bring here, I think back in 2016. And as they expanded here, they connected with RIT and Cornell to use drone technology to work with local growers to increase the yields for local farmers. So the fact that we grow food here, we process it, we also innovate, package it, I think really speaks to the connectivity in the region, the ability to solve problems. And you really have that in all of our industry sectors.
One of the things that are fundamental is the balance in any community, the creation of jobs. Fighting against poverty is basically the best strategy is creating jobs. And I think GRE has created a lot of opportunities and jobs through all this facilitation of investments and all the things that you guys do and articulation. How we resolve the poverty problem? It's a very significant issue. And unfortunately, it's touched a lot of aspects, and the discussion continues to be very high, especially these times. What is your take on that, and how we can create this beautiful momentum, but at the same time start really impacting socially and improving the life conditions of many? So what's your take on that, Matt?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's paramount. As we talk about talent, companies need talent to grow their business. So there's some system realignment that really needs to take place, and those conversations are being had with United Way, with the RMAPI, the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council, and I think there's an opportunity to align systems, and also to have honest conversations about where there are gaps, or where people are not able to access systems that should be serving them better. And that starts from early childhood education all the way through to collegiate, and not just on the skills attainment that we need for companies like Plug Power, HP Hood, IEC Electronics, and some of the other companies that we're talking to who are hiring now, but also on the entrepreneurial side. How do we help people create wealth for Black and brown businesses, connect them to resources, not just on the banking side, but on the finance side, on that business plan, marketing, and the connectivity between our small entrepreneurs and some of our larger institutions, so that we are buying local. It's interesting, I've talked to a number of business leaders of all shapes and sizes whose primary customers are well outside the region, and they do world-class work, but they might not be selling and providing products and services to those inside the region. And I don't think that's anyone's fault necessarily, but it's just interesting how we've, in some cases, as we've gotten beyond the big three companies in this town, and we have so much leveraging of technology, and in some cases, like those second stage companies we serve in economic gardening, they're busy working on the company, and oftentimes we don't know what each other is doing perhaps in our own neighborhood. And so that connectivity is very, very important.
All right, so picture yourself on the cover of Time magazine. What would the headline say?
Wow. Well, first, I think it'd be hard for me to be on the cover of Time magazine, but I'd like to say it's here's somebody who's making a difference.
Very good, very good. Another one of our two traditional questions is if you could have dinner with anyone living or deceased, who would that be and why? We get all kinds of answers. We get, people from talk about their family or famous folks or presidents, all kinds of folks.
Yeah, that is a tough one. I'm a bit of a history buff, so I have to think. I'd probably say Abraham Lincoln. Here's a guy who was dismissed, who was called a lot of. We think about politics now. There were things going on back then. He was mocked, ridiculed. He certainly came into a divided country, and history is easy. It's easy to look back. But at that time, the pressure he was under and the way he managed, I've read some interesting books on him, managing by walking around, the council of advisors he had of people who did not like him and certainly want to work for him. And the challenge he had managing some generals who did not listen to his direction, and not to mention the fact that we were in an open rebellion. So I'd probably pick him. It'd be interesting. He's a lot taller than I am, but it'd be an interesting conversation.
That's great. We've actually had a number of guests over the years. In fact, our last guest said that, so it's amazing. We had people from many different backgrounds, and he's one of the ones that's most mentioned.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very impressive. And I just love, first of all, I want to say thank you, Matt, for all the work that you guys are doing. Sometimes in our community, we do all these incredible things and the accomplishments are done. But for some reason, maybe it's culturally, we don't celebrate too much. And I want to celebrate and I want to honor you. And that's why we create Be Inspired, a show that we want to recognize organizations like yours who are really working hard. Those numbers are astounding, are big numbers. There's an incredible opportunity in Rochester, New York. It's wonderful to see that even in the middle of the pandemic, the numbers that you guys were able to connect and create those synergies is unbelievable. And I think that tells us how powerful it is when people come together and believe in something. So we believe in Rochester. I know GRE believes in Rochester. We believe that this is one of the greatest places in the world to invest, to innovate, to transform. And for that reason, we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope we will have you in the future. We want to continue to learn. We want to continue to partner. We interview a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, and we believe that it's fundamental that we all come together
Yeah.
helping each other, because that's how you build and change communities.
Well, and I thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I will say that Greater Rochester, this is a team effort. Economic development is a team sport. State, county, city officials, as well as the number of businesses that support us financially, as well as take our calls. The fact that people will stop and have dinner with visiting executives, they'll meet with them, talk about their business, they'll verify the things that we promote statistically. The ability to take a meeting and make those connections and solve problems is how we do our job. So I have an outstanding team. I'm very blessed to work with the people I work with every day. And that includes my board, this community, business leaders that are not perhaps investors in GRE, but connected to us, as well as the outstanding team we have here. We just have great people who really serve this community well every day, almost 24/7. So, and not to mention leaders like yourself who are promoting the region. Rochester is an interesting town where we need to celebrate more, to your point, and brag a little bit. We've got some great people, great businesses here who are doing amazing things, and we need to brag a little bit more.
Coming up next week on Be Inspired, we'll meet Javier Zapata, the new president of the Path Stone Enterprise Center, which helps small businesses with loans and training.
To watch today's episode and the complete interviews of our guests, go to rochesterfirst.com/beinspired. For more great talk with Rochester's entrepreneurs, listen to Bodette 97.1, Saturdays at 9 a.m. For Mauricio Riveros, I'm Julio Saenz. We'll see you next week on Be Inspired.